بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم لا حول ولا قوة إلا بالله العلي العظيم الحمد لله رب العالمين وصلى الله على سيدنا ونبينا أبي القاسم المصطفى محمد وآله الطيبين الطاهرين لا سيما بقية الله في الأرضين أجل الله تعالى فرجه الشريف اللهم أخرجني من ظلمات الوهم وأكرمني بنور الفهم اللهم افتح علينا أبواب رحمتك وانشر علينا خزائن علومك برحمتك يا أرحم الراحمين. Alhamdulillah, we have tawfiq to continue our study of Sharh al-Manzumah. So before Salat, we said that Mu'tazilites, in order to solve some problems, they came up with an idea which is not agreeable, and that is to say that there is a difference between wujud and ثبوت, and also between their opposites, between adam and nafy. Adam is opposite to wujud, nafy is opposite to ثبوت. Whatever is not موجود is ma'dum, whatever is not ma'dum is موجود, because they are contradictory. Also, whatever is ثابت is not manfi, whatever is manfi is not ثابت, because they are contradictory. So there is no problem here. But the thing is that these two concepts, these two sets of concepts, are not synonymous. So wujud is less general than ثبوت. Therefore, their opposites have to be the other way around. Opposite to ثبوت, which is naf, has to be more limited than opposite to wujud, which is adam. Hakim Sabzewari rahmatullah alayh says, ما ليس موجودا يكون ليسا قد ساوق الشيء لدينا الایسا. He says, whatever is not موجود is ليس, is معدوم, nothing, absolutely nothing. And شيء for us, or in our opinion, شيء is مساوق with ايس. And I explained what is مساوق, is more than مساوي. It's not just equal, it's more than that. It means they can be applied in the same way. وجعل المعتزلي الثبوت عم من الوجود ومن النفي العدم. So Mu'tazili thinker, Mu'tazili theologian, thinks that ثبوت is عم من الوجود, means أعم من الوجود, it's more general than wujud, and also adam is more general than nafy, because their opposite should be the other way around. فالنفي والثبوت ینفی وسطا. They say there is no wasat between nafi and ثبوت. وقولهم بالحال كان شططا. And they also believe in hal, which is not موجود and not معدوم. كان شططا. Or you can say which is not موجود but also not منفي. نفي ثبوت معهما مرادفة. نفي ثبوت وجود and عدم, these four are forming two sets of synonymous terms. We don't accept that they are different. وجود and ثبوت synonymous. نفي and عدم synonymous. وشبهات خصمنا مزيفة. شبهات, shubha means, a kind of objection, a kind of doubt which is created by, objection. So now let's study in more details this topic. Ayatummah Mutahhari says there is no doubt that Adam has no reality. You cannot find Adam existing in any realm of reality. Adam is not better than Mahiyya. According to Asalatul Wujud, even Mahiyya does not have existence as such independently outside. Yes, Mahiyya exists, but it's really through Wujud. A limited Wujud can be Faras, so you can take Mahiyya of Faras, for example, or Insan, or Baqar, or Shajar, or Hajar. Mahiyya is certainly not in a better position than, Adam is not certainly in a better position than Mahiyya, but similar to Mahiyya, that we need a lot to refer to for mental analysis and understanding, to the extent that Mahiyya is more familiar to our zihn, to our mind, than Wujud. Therefore, in our mind, إن الوجود عارض المahiyya تصورا واتحد هوية. Therefore, we say al-insanu mawjudun. Normally, we speak in this way. Although we should say هذا الموجود إنسان, but we say al-insanu mawjudun because insan is more familiar to us. We are more used to it. So, Mahiyya is in zihn, mawjud, is existent in mind. Adam is not like Mahiyya in every aspect, but from this perspective that Adam is also existent in our mind. We very much use concept of Adam. Is one of the useful concepts. Our mind works in a very, I don't want to say efficient, because sometimes we may not use our mind in an efficient way, but the way it's created is very efficient. It can come up with any kind of concept that we need. معقول أولى, معقول ثاني, فلسفي, منطقي, etc. Lots of power that our mind has in order to be creative. As I said before, philosophy cannot be understood without mastering the way mind works. Ayatummah Mutahhari himself here says that we have explained in the footnotes of the book Usul Falsafe wa Ravesh Realism, Principles of Philosophy and Method of Realism. He says, we have said there, تا هنگامی که ذهن و طرز اندیشه سازی ذهن را کاملا نشناخته ایم، نمی توانیم فلسفه به معنای واقعی داشته باشیم. As long as we have not completely understood human mind and the way our mind makes thoughts, we cannot have philosophy in its true sense. So philosophy is not just mind. Please remember this. We don't want to say that philosophy is just a game of mind, but we want to say that philosophy needs mind and understanding the way our mind works. So he says Adam, Ma'doom, non-existent, they have no reality, they don't exist in the real world, but they are needed for our knowledge and ma'rifah and understanding. So now let us study few points. He says one of the things that we can understand about existence and non-existence is whatever does not exist, whether it is impossible to exist, is mumtani'ul wujud, like sharikul bari, like ijtima'ul naqidain, a partner for God, is impossible to exist. two contradictory things to exist at the same time from the same aspect, with all the unities, you know, all the 8 unities that classic logic says, and you know, also the nice unity that Mulla Sadra says about wahdatul ham. If all these unities are there, two contradictory things cannot exist together. Their existence together is impossible. It's mumtani'ul wujud. Sometimes something doesn't exist, but it is not mumtani'ul wujud. It's mumkinul wujud wal-'adam. It's contingent, like elephant. But I don't have elephant here around me. But there's no elephant in this city. So, whether it is something which is mumkin like elephant and does not exist, or something which is impossible and therefore certainly doesn't exist, in both cases we have adam of something which is mumkin, or adam of something which is mumtana, is nothing. Adam is nothing. Means there is no reality here, even a little reality. Say, okay, there is a little thing here which is adam of elephant. Because elephant is mumkin, there is a little thing about adam of elephant here. No, there is nothing here. But Mu'tazilites, because of suffering from some problems that they couldn't solve, they thought, okay, let us solve the problem in this way, to say that maybe something has no wujud, but it has ثبوت. Maybe it doesn't exist, but it has some kind of reality. And with acceptance of that, solve some problems. So, Ayatummah Mutahhari says, when theologians say something doesn't exist, it can be that there is something, but it's not existent, or there is nothing, but also it doesn't exist. چیزی هست و موجود نیست. There is something which does not exist. Or چیزی نیست که موجود. There is nothing that, therefore we say it doesn't exist. So they wanted to say that we can find a little thing sometimes. Sometimes it's not nothing. It's a little thing and nothing. A little thing and Adam. Like elephant, which is mumkin al-wujud, but doesn't exist. But elephant is mumkin al-wujud. You can understand what is elephant, for example. Some mutakallimin, some theologians have tried to say this, but we say no. If it is ma'dum, it is ma'dum. Those who wanted to make distinction, they had to bring a new concept, or they had to redefine an old concept. The concept of ثبوت normally is understood as wujud, but they try to redefine it and say ثبوت includes what is موجود and what is معدوم but could exist. For example, like a human being with 2 heads, إنسان دو سر. This is ثابت but معدوم. Or mahiyya, which doesn't have existence, it is ثابت but not existent. They try to introduce such thing. Some people may say this is just lafzi, it's a linguistic discussion, this is not a philosophical discussion, this is a matter of what is the meaning of ثبوت and what is the meaning of wujud. So we leave it to the people of luqa, with the people of Arabic language. But Ayatummah Mutahhari says no, it's not a linguistic discussion, because I think if we refer to the people of language, they don't distinguish anything like this. And maybe Mu'tazilites themselves accept that. They are forced to come up with such technical classification, even if they may accept that normal people on the street in Arabic countries, they don't understand such differences. So it is a semantic, not just linguistic. The next issue is there any middle position between wujud and adam? We can put it in this way. He says in the first issue, we said that according to the Mu'tazilites, ma'doom is sometimes thabit and sometimes is not thabit. So sometimes ma'doom has or enjoys a ثبوت, reality, and sometimes doesn't enjoy ثبوت or reality. Ma'doom which doesn't enjoy ثبوت and reality is like ممتنع الوجود, شريك الباري, for example. But ma'doom which enjoys a ثبوت is like elephant or insan dosar, a human being with two heads, that they don't exist but they have some reality. But now the question is something different. They say between wujud and adam there is a middle position. When hukama, when philosophers say ما ليس بموجود فهو ليس مطلقا, when something doesn't exist it's ليس مطلقا فهو ليس مطلقا or فهو ليس مطلقا, they say no, there can be something in between. They use this in some abstract qualities which they call hal, like a condition. For example, if fire burns, we have fire, we have wood which is being burnt, but causality, aliyah, is not there separately. But they say kulliya is a hal which is there. You cannot say it's not mawjud and therefore it's nothing. Yes, it's not mawjud as an independent being, but it is something, or khaliqiyya, raziqiyya, fawqiyya, etc. Both positions of the Mu'tazilites are problematic. And Ayatummah Mutahhari says they are actually wadihul butlan. Their falsehood is very clear. And maybe there is no need that much to discuss. When someone is denying that wujud is opposite to adam and there is nothing in between, then we don't need to argue that much. But because they themselves maybe didn't want to come up with this position and just had to solve another issue which forced them, their failure in solving that issue forced them to say such things here, let us help them with solving that issue to clarify this problem. So their first shubha was this. Mu'tazilites have a problem with this general rule. We say al-ma'dum al-mutlaq la yukhbaru anh. You remember in the previous discussion we said adam and wujud are divided into mutlaq and muqayyad. Yeah? So ma'dum mutlaq is absolute nothingness. La yukhbaru anh, cannot be subject for any predicate, or we cannot give any piece of information about ma'dum mutlaq. We can say what is, for example, adam of something, but if it is adam altogether, there's nothing to talk about it. Then Mu'tazilites say, but this لا يخبر عن by itself is now خبر for معدوم مطلق. You are saying لا يخبر عن, but you are indeed doing إخبار. This لا يخبر عن is a predicate for what? For معدوم مطلق. So you say you cannot talk about it, but you are talking about it. And as you know, the answer is معدوم مطلق here is concept. The concept of معدوم مطلق is not معدوم مطلق. We can understand the concept. In other words, معدوم مطلق بالحمل الأولي is something that we can understand. We can talk about it, we can study it. Maybe a person decides, for example, to write an article about معدوم مطلق. It's not a problem. But the instances of معدوم مطلق, or one instance, because معدوم مطلق cannot have more instances, because صرف الشيء لا يتثنى ولا يتكرر. Even Adam, if it is simple, would not be 2 or 3. The instance cannot be something which becomes subject and then you talk about it. The real معدوم مطلق. Like, for example, if I say الكلي لا يمتنع صدقه على كثيرين, but الجزئي يمتنع صدقه على كثيرين. Yeah, we have كلي and جزئي. One of the classifications of مفهوم is كلي and جزئي. كلي is not impossible to be applied to more than one case. جزئي can only be applied to one case. But someone says زيد جزئي, عمرو جزئي, I don't know, all individuals, Fatima, Maryam, all are juz'i. So juz'i is applied to many cases. We say this is mafhum of juz'i, but misdaq of juz'i is not possible to be used for different things, to be applied to different things. So if they say al-ma'dum al-mutlaq la yukhbaru an, but you are still informing about ma'dum al-mutlaq, we say this ma'dum al-mutlaq here is the concept that exists in the mind. What we are saying is that ma'dum al-mutlaq in reality doesn't exist, therefore you cannot talk about it. The second problem, they have come up with the concept of hal, like a kind of condition, because they think there is, a group of things that they are neither موجود nor معدوم. And if we want to say that they have وجود, there is problem. Ayatummah Mutahhari approaches it in this way. He says, for example, they may say, is wujud mawjudun or ma'dumun? If someone asks this question from you, someone says, you study philosophy, tell me, is wujud mawjud or ma'dum? If you say wujud is ma'dum, it doesn't make sense. So you say wujud is mawjud. Then he says, okay, if wujud is mawjud is what? Mawjud means shay'un lahul wujud, something that has wujud. So you say wujud is something that has wujud. So what is that shay that has wujud? Is that shay mawjudun or ma'dumun? If you say it's ma'dum, then it's a problem. If you say mawjud, then say, is that shay which is mawjud, and then you say that is mawjud, that wujud is also shay'un lahul wujud or not? So it becomes tasalsul. Therefore, they say we cannot say al-wujudu موجود. Wujud is neither موجود nor معدوم. Similar to خالقية, اللية, etc. They say wujud is something that is neither موجود nor معدوم. We can use موجود for ماهية which has wujud, or واجب الوجود which has wujud, a zat, a sense which has wujud, not wujud itself. But we say no. Mawjud means something which has reality, and wujud has a reality. Similarly, when we say Allah mawjudun, we don't mean that Allah is something that has wujud as a kind of separation between the essence of God and wujud of God. When we say God is mawjud, it means mawjudun بذاته. الحق ماهيته النيته. In mumkinat also their wujud is mawjud by itself. Yes, maybe Arabic language here says something else, but that's not our problem as a philosopher. Maybe in Arabic when you say mawjud means shay'un lahul wujud, maybe, no problem. So therefore we can say, okay, we use mawjud sometimes for shay'un lahul wujud, and sometimes we use it for maybe in a metaphoric way, with extending and stretching al-ma'na al-haqiqi. We can say mawjud can also be used for something which is wujud. If everything which has wujud is mawjud, wujud itself is mawjud bil-awlawiyya. If I add salt to water, it becomes salty. If I add salt to yogurt, it becomes salty. If I add salt to food, it becomes salty. So anything by adding salt, it becomes salty. So is it a problem to say that salt itself is salty? You say, no, salty means shay'un أضيف إليه الملح, something that milk or salt is added to it. So, okay, this is a linguistic problem. Don't worry about this. My question is, the quality of saltiness, is there in salt or not? You say, yes, of course, everything is salty because of salt, and salt is salty by itself. بالأولوية, there's more priority here. البياض أبيض. You cannot say البياض ليس بأبيض. Maybe in Arabic language, normally when we say abyad, we use it for something which has abyad as an additional quality. But the reality is that bayad is abyad. The third shubha, or the third doubt or objection, or you could say the third problem that was difficult for Mu'tazilis to solve, is about kulli. They say a kulli, a universal like human being, is neither mawjud nor ma'dum, because if it is mawjud, we have to have then in the external world kulli. And you know that in the external world everything is juz'i. Mafhum can be kulli or juz'i, but beings are all juz'i. Because wujud is musawiq with tashakhus. Every wujud is person, is individual. I'm not saying person in the sense of having understanding or not, in that sense. I mean, everything is a case, is an individual case, is mutashakhis. So, kulli, if it is existing outside, we have problem. If it is not existing outside, it's ma'dum altogether, it's a problem. So we have to find out something between kulli between mawjud and ma'dum. We say kulli of insan is neither mawjud nor ma'dum, for example. Haji says, rahmatullah alayh, he says, you are talking about kulli in the way that cannot be used for juz'iyat. But philosophers have introduced a concept which is very helpful, and that is kulliyya tabi'i. If you want to translate literally, you would say natural, universal concept. But the main thing is that they mean by kulliyya tabi'i the same nature, the same mahiyya that in zihn it's kulli. Because kulliyya tabi'i is la bishart. You remember we had discussion about i'tibaratul mahiyya. In Bidaya we had this, in Falsafiyya Muqaddamati we had this, in both courses we had this. Insan is sometimes taken as bishart shay. For example, we say insan who is male, with the condition of being male. This then would not be applied to a woman. Or insan with the condition of being female, then it would not be applied to male. Insan which is old would not be applied to young or children, young people or children. This is bishart shay. Or insan bishart la. For example, say we are talking about human beings who have no faith, for example, or human beings who have no, for example, I don't know, job, for example. Bishart la. It means we have a condition which is negational. And sometimes we say we talk about all human beings. La bishart. This la bishart, which is coming along with bishart shay, and bishart la is called la bishart maqsami or qismi. Who knows? The one that comes along with bishart shay and bishart la, this is qismi. Yes? It is qismi. But what is divided into the three again has to be la bishart, and that is maqsami. So there are two types of la bishart. One is maqsami, which then exists in bishart shay, bishart la and la bishart. And one is qismi. The difference between the two is that the one on the top would not, hesitate, would not refuse to come with condition or to come with a negational condition. But the one here says no. With respect to this condition, I am neutral. Okay? So for example, let me give you another example. For example, we say a Muslim. A Muslim can be, for example, you can say Asian. A Muslim can be European. A Muslim can be an American. So you are dividing Muslim into different groups. Then the Muslim which is maqsam, which is divided, has to be la bishart, means with respect to being Asian or European or American, should be neutral. Okay? This kind of indecisiveness in the dividend, what is divided, is called la bishart maqsami. Kulliyya tabi'i is maqsami. Insaniya, humanity, which is possible to be in mind, which is possible to be outside. If it is outside, it is juz'i. If it is mind, it's kulli. This is kulliyya tabi'i. So, with respect to kulliyya tabi'i, there is no problem to exist in two ways, as kulli in zihn and as juz'i outside. So your problem that kulli cannot exist outside is solved in this way. This is kulliya tabi'i, not insan kulli. Means insan without condition of kulliyat or juz'iyat, kharijiyat or zihniyat. And then finally, Ayatummah Mutahhari says that Haji Sabzewari has used this title for this chapter. في أن المعدوم ليس بشيء. He says this chapter, this Ghurar, is about the fact that ma'dum is nothing. But in the poem he says ما ليس موجودا يكون الایسا. He says whatever is not موجود is ma'dum. And he says maybe this one is better, because if it was just ma'dum laysa b'shay, yes, we accept this, but it would not be very clear in rejecting the idea of the Mu'tazilites. But when it says ma laysa mawjudan yakunu al-aysa, what is mawjud, what is not mawjud is lays, is adam, completely nothing. He says this is also refuting the ideas of Mu'tazilites. The first one maybe is not very clearly against their idea. Just says ma'dum laysa b'shay. Ma'dum is nothing. But this one says what is not mawjud is nothing. So perhaps this one is a little bit more clearly rejecting the idea of the Mu'tazilites. In any case, what we say is that wujud and adam are contradictory. If you say wujud in a mutlaq way, its opposite becomes also mutlaq. If you say wujud in a muqayyad way, like wujudu zayd, its opposite is adamu wujud zayd. Wujudu zayd is this person, but adamu wujud zayd has to include everything other than wujudu zayd. I can point at Amr and say this is not Zayd. Bakr also is not Zayd. This Shajar is not Zayd. Because Adamu, Zayd has to be anything other than Zayd. So it's always contradictory, and therefore both sides of contradiction should cover everything. Everything is either A or not A. Yeah, everything is either A or not A. You cannot say there is something which is not A and not A. It's impossible. So everything is either Zayd or not Zayd. There's nothing which falls outside these two sides of contradiction. So everything is either mawjud or ma'dum. Wujudu Zayd or Adamu Zayd. They cover everything. So Adam of something means anything other than thing. And we don't accept anything in between Wujud and Adam. Alhamdulillah, we finished this discussion. Inshallah, in the next discussion, we have that familiar discussion that we had it many times before, that لا ميز في الأعدام من حيث العدم. There is no distinction in Adam. Adam as such is similar because one. Yes, Adamu Zayd is different from Adamu Amr. Adamu Amr is different from Adamu Shajar. Adamu Shajar is different from Adamu Hajar. Or Adam of this tree is different from Adam of that tree. But it's because of muzafun ilay. Adam as such is not many, but if we add Adam to something which exists, then this Adam gets, because of that, some kind of a specific nature. And some kind of distinction happens that can say, okay, Adam Zayd is different from Adam Amr. Adam al-Khubz is different from Adam al-Ma. Having no water is different from having no bread. But it's because bread and water are different. This is inshallah what we discuss in the next session. بإذن الله. Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alamin.